We are here in this workshop to play D&D, which means no fun allowed. It means doing everything, you know, by the book. Everything's on a schedule. Everything must be done and be completed. Else we are doing the D's and the D's wrong. Or even wrongly. Right? This is a no fun allowed zone. And by that I mean we'll keep having fun. Let's name Demon's son something fun. She later changed her name to Cheryl, and when she got married, she was Cheryl Redding. Am I getting? Is that a continued wine reference, or? No, Death Angel, you want to roll for initiative? Type exclamation point initiative in chat. Disfemist! How dare you use my own logic and sayings against me that as friends we can twist the daggers. Hashtag soon. Alright, Death Angel. It looks like you got a 12. Death Angel. I got a 19. Looks like I get to act first. And so, Death Angel. I am going to duel you. What? If I can spell your name correctly. Apparently, I got timed out by my own bot. The robot rebellion is starting here and now, everyone. My command was just rejected by my own chatbot. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it's not timed out. I was put on a cooldown. Professional streamer, we're in year 3, everyone. Yeehaw! You boys like Mexico? Oh gosh. Y'all. Y apostrophe A-L-L. Y'all. That Kames? Yeah, we just had a we just had an usurpation apparently. Now Death, it seems that you got hit too, because as soon as you type in the command, even if it doesn't go off, it starts your cooldown timer. And so you are also in cooldown mode because of the just the dual command even with no recipient. This is a very harsh robot. Yeah. Pardon. So Disfemist is stepping up to Cold Spark. And this is a duel for honor, so no amount of experience points was put on the line. So if it's just for 0 or you don't indicate experience points, you can just say it's a duel for honor. Cold Spark accepts, and Cold Spark won the duel versus Disfemist. Congrats on that. Alright. Let's do a quick review of what we've done so far, especially if we have newer folk coming and hang out with us. Dovahkiin, if you're still here. Anyone else who stopped by, Nerdalopedia and crew, it's good to see you again. I mean, y'all might have gone to bed if you had a pretty big D&D session, or you're hitting up a restaurant or a bar for some after D&D celebration. In which case, look, I don't blame you. So what have we done? That's a good question to ask. Oh, that was my computer, not your all's. All right. We made prompts for 4 winter holidays after doing some IRL research into lists of holidays that occur in December, January, and February. And these were religious, philosophical, historical, that are based in folklore, like Groundhog Day. We went through Christianity. We went through, we had mentioned pagan festivals. We even talked about some fictional ones like Festivus or Decemberween. Come up for Valentine's Day. Using this then as our original prompt, basing things IRL, we then made 2 NPCs that acted as personifications of the holiday. And whether or not it exists, if we think of Santa Claus, Christmas probably comes to mind, whether or not you celebrate secularly or religiously. And so, this could be a symbol, or simply this is just a way to help give us an idea of, what could be celebrated by someone. Because if someone exists, so too did the circumstances that made the person, thereby by making a holiday a person, whether or not it's the mascot or, the symbol, then we have created reasons for the holiday to exist. And that's why we took this approach. Those are our villains. Here we go. So we have someone with 2 souls who is a gambler, someone who can't speak very well, but sings beautifully, and or through his inventions, especially the working of glass, as glass then seems to be a cultural, something central to the culture here. Is a symbol of this kind of duality. Is a symbol of this weakness we all have, but the ability to be intuitive and practice ingenuity. Ingenuitive, right? Why does that sound weird to me? Ingenuitive? I swear. Sometimes. Have you ever said, like, food? And you're like, that sounds really weird. You say, but have I always said food? I don't know why. Food just sounds really weird to pronounce. Food? Food. Food? Am I pronouncing that correctly? How old am I? How long have I been saying this word? Hey, Bewitchcraft, welcome. Yeah, so ingenuity, but what would be the, like, so you can be intuitive. Can you be ingenuitive? And if not, you know what? That's how English works, and we just did it. Feed. Arc made Raven angry. Raven uninstalled a fix. If not fix, break over knee. Oh no. I'm sorry to hear your game was giving you some problems, Raven. Well, still, thank you for stopping by. Candace saying, fraud. Fowad. Farood. Freud. Have we been doing that incorrectly this whole time? So we have this character. We have this character who is, someone who's afraid of being alone, makes glassworks for others, and tries to master the art of balance by making solid shapes out of a liquid. Someone who's introverted and seems selfish, but offers care and gifts in the form of baubles. Did I not? Baubles. And song. Inventor of the harmonica or the vibraphone, as we had been discussing. Tried ingenuitive, and it's not a word. Well, it would be I for ingenuity. Pardon. Of course, we also don't want to be ingenuine, even though that's not a word. If we say ingenuine, many of us who can speak at least some English understand that in as a prefix then turns whatever's after it, it turns it out. It makes it bad. That's why I love Dictionarium in the new Jackbox. All right, so Bewitchcraft says, put D&D aside. Let's just play Dictionarium. Our second character, a vampire monk, and this is where we had this Way of the Long Death, and the other. So there are 3 of the 4 characters that are a representation of this faith or this practice. A historical figure. She actually fled from a place, and that was, you know, the village that existed here before the volcano. You know, the way that she acts, she ushers in endings. She is not like she is not a, well, like Death's Shadow, but this is sort of a new beginning. It's a new start. It's a new existence. And so, in particular, if we were going to give this representation an IRL holiday, it would be like that of Bodhi, which is reflective of when it's the day that the Buddha obtained enlightenment. And so we can use that as an example, or we simply we've tied it there, but it can be our own celebration. So now we get to the villains. And so we have someone, we have this giant siren, who's also a character here. And this is someone who's a holdout. And this is someone who can't let go. Is maybe a mythological character or a monster, kind of like a Slender Man, and takes certain people or objects. It is even a way to explain why things can go missing. Takes people and objects back to try and rebuild this society that was destroyed by the volcano. And so we have this character who is a villain, who is a monster, and at the same time we identify that this is someone who is supposed to be reflective and to teach us the lesson that, you know, carrying regret is a burden you don't have to bear. Or at least, you know, depending on the nature of things. You know, it's not something you always have to bring up. You may very well be able to come to terms with it and move on. Move into whatever happens after life. And so now we have this character who's been malformed by this negativity and living in the past, and either can't or refuses to live in the present or look towards a better future. And so spends all of its time plotting and ruminating, and it just festers and festers. And so this is a representation of a holiday or some sort of a practice. And lastly, we have someone who became an example of the gods as another lesson, and as a remembrance of some kind, where, you know, someone had gone out and ended up. This is almost like one of like Aesop's fables or a moral lesson of bad things can happen. It could also be a historical explanation, considering we have an extraplanar portal that opened up, and it seems like the Fae might very well be involved with how things are happening here. And so our character was transformed by the Fae, and is carrying out a deity, or this could even be a patron, if we don't want a deity, or some sort of powerful person's wishes. Uses, you know, tries to find the treasure within by using torture and acid. We said that this could help explain why the days grow short. You know, the days dissolve, or this explains erosion, especially because this whole area was subjected to a lot of erosion by water and wind, and by forces of nature. You know, through mudslides and landslides and all sorts of stuff that would occur with the geological time frame that would have made this older, more sedimentary rock mountain range, and then that which thrust up this volcano and all these other little like chimneys, and have since been, you know, worn down and themselves dissolved or carried away. And so we have a person who has been changed. You know, we have a dragon turtle, and that may very well be, you know, as we have these mountains, she could be the representation of the mountains. As a dragon that spits fire, and as a turtle, because it might look like a turtle or have the ridges. I mean, if you've seen the way that lava cools, it can look like the plates on a turtle's back. We can have her be what we want here. And it was brought up that she might very well be a celebration, or at least a remembrance, something somber, of solstice, right? It is the longest night. We're searching for the golden sun. You know, the day has been dissolved. Oh, Jackbox would be a lot of fun. But Witchcraft, did Sheeps play Jackbox on her channel for her birthday? I forget. But Raven, Jackbox is a lot of fun, and it's very good to interact and just, you know, have a very chill session and interact with others. You just got to watch out, because depending on your comfort level or how you present content on your channel, there's settings that you can review answers submitted, so you can probably prevent things from showing up. But just be aware that if you are playing on your channel, that people can come in and maybe make you go, ooh. I did see she was playing Dead by Daylight. All right, from here we had our 4, and then we made, whoops. Oh, all right, so spoilers, this is what we're doing. Then we made a settlement based on some random rolls, which further added to who these people are, what happens here, what is their culture like. And now that we have all this information, and you'll see that the PC's villains, or I'm sorry, the NPC's villains in the settlement is here. And of course the map is always available in MS Paint, and isn't that purty? I want to work with you all to make some holidays. And remember, holidays can be things that are... Oh, thank you, Witchcraft. You like... well, I'm glad you can appreciate my nice maps. And you can... you like the curvature of my caldera. Actually, calderas. Now, I don't know if we have Alesgiving. Well, if we do find one that is appropriate for drinking or brewing or something, we can certainly incorporate that. We had one for our fall holidays. It was a dwarven holiday, actually. Actually, for any of you interested, because we did this, well, last year in the autumn, you can find that we made 4 autumn holidays in a similar procedure in our 2019 workshop. What time of year? These are winter holidays. So we're generally considering December, January, February for the time of year. Now, we haven't determined if we're super north and the place gets, you know, plastered with snow, or if this is more tropical, and so it might get a little cooler. But we do know, because it is winter, that the days are shorter, the nights are longer, and that other seasonal shifts can happen, such as migrations or other, you know, lunar or cosmic phenomena. You know, maybe getting snow of a particular kind, if snow at all, could be auspicious in some way. You know what? Because Golden prompted, I don't know if Golden is still here, But Golden prompted, do we have a cabin? And we rolled to see if we have a cabin in our Bob Ross painting here. I said no, but I made it up by having one super tall tree. You know what? This tree didn't exist until we wanted it to. And if we want to decorate this tree for a holiday, now we can. However, because we have a map, we can see the resources and the geography that could have things be made available to us. So here's the prompts. Here's the prompts for our first winter holiday. John the Phenom, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. You're here just in time, and you're welcome to join in on the discussion. Our first holiday that we're going to flesh out with things such as the point of the holiday, primary traditions, taboos, common symbols, common colors. Christmas, we see a lot of red and green. Easter, we see a lot of pastel colors. Common decorations, common foods. We're going to be doing more of the minutia for world building and for detailing our holiday. And a lot of this, we can base our decisions on everything that we've made before, because we can reference our setting, our map, and the inspiration for that holiday. So we have our occupation and history. A Kalishtar, remember, is a creature with 2 souls. You have an ancient soul inside you, and you have, the one that you've been born with. We have someone who's a creator, who can mix concoctions, acids and bases. This has been a strong theme. And by the way, it writes itself. Anything that you see that is connected has been connected through random rolls and a little bit of imagination. That's not a big stretch. Someone who's a charlatan, who cheats at games of chance, though has this ideal of balance. Someone who's hot-tempered. In fact, this could even be one of the volcanoes. If we have 2 calderas or something. We have a character who is high in int, low in dex, sings beautifully but slurs words, which the prompt then was that he can't seem to speak because no one can understand his words. And so he used his mind and created all forms of glass. Is sort of the father of glassware and glassworks here. We're in a volcanic area, as well as not just with a volcanic glass, i.e. obsidian, but with all the ash and soot and sand and other things that have been present here and scooped up or eroded away. We probably have a thriving glass industry. And it could even be fueled while it's a watery area. It could even be fueled by the fact we probably have very hot vents that could go to hot places further below ground. Like a geothermal system as well. But someone who learned to express himself not through his words, but by singing beautifully and sings through the glass that he makes. We have this theme. He's protective of colleagues or compatriots and has the phobia of not wanting to be alone. So this would be something about a time of togetherness, maybe a time of creation or of music and singing in some variety, if not by voice, then by instruments. Specifically then possibly even harmonicas or vibraphones. This character is maybe a symbol of overcoming introversion or reclusion or something along those lines. He is someone who is the old and the new combined. Iwi it up. Oh, you know we will, Raven. Here is our prompt. And I think with the IRL, that was... I think that one was, what was the Persian holiday that we had? What was the Persian holiday we looked at? It was Sade, or Sada. A midwinter feast to honor fire and to defeat the forces of darkness, frost, and cold. Which, in the wintertime it is. And we're dealing with fire. And if we want to bring balance to things, if we want to start restoring the day, you know, we roll the dice, we load them up. And so we bring balance by bringing order to random dice rolls, literally or metaphorically. And I think that this was the inspiration for it. Still, we don't have to base it just on this. Let's talk about what is going to be the point of this holiday based on the prompt that we have generated. So this is his info, and don't forget where this is taking place. We have this terrain, swamps and mountains. We have a group of people. There's kind of a racial division among those who might be considered primitive, the merfolk, and those who have evolved and have the big brain energy, the Vidalcan. Both are aquatic, and both can go above and below water, but one seems to be the more like intelligent and reasonable, the civilized. So we might have a difference between Athena and Sparta, for example. I mean, it's all Greek to me, but you know, but each culture, each people focused on different things. And where you might consider warfare to be primitive and, you know, unga bunga, caveman, you know, brute force, it was still a necessity in the world in which they lived. At the same time, you look at the big brains over in Athena, or in Athens, I'm sorry, and you know, well, we're bringing philosophy and we're guiding culture. At the same time, is that going to protect you from an arrow? Sounds like a solstice holiday mixed with Groundhog Day. Yeah, like a Sparta versus Athens kind of division in the population. For other considerations, remember there's some kind of ruined or toppled obelisk and a toppled statue to a deity. And this could even, I mean, later on for the part that serves the deity, but if it's like a ruined or forgotten one, it might help explain this old god or something. We have this permanent portal hidden somewhere. The racial majority were conquerors. There is some open fighting going on. A grand temple that celebrates this it's a monastery, this way of the long death, where we study the nature of death and dying, the process of dying, of decomposition, of you know, questioning what happens to the soul, or finding, you know, uses for the body or something like that. It's known for delicious cuisine, and there's some kind of scandal that's threatening powerful families. And by the way, the main, like the big tavern in town is a gambling den that was rolled up randomly, and wouldn't you know it, we have a gambler, or at least someone who seeks to find balance in the chance that life offers. So John, you're saying solstice mixed with groundhog. Can you get a little bit more detail? Like, what would be the point? For Groundhog Day, the point is to try and forecast the weather. It could be very agrarian. For solstice, it is just simply noting that, hey, the days are going to get longer. And I don't know if you all looked outside lately. I still see sunlight approach like around 7 o'clock p.m. now. Like, it's set, but the sky still has a little bit of light at 7 p.m. Whew, when did that happen? Pardon. Let's see. So the point here, you know, if this is about, if this is a character that reflects expression, if this is a character that is, you know, finding oneself because of the duality of mankind or something along those lines, the point. The point. This would be... We don't want to be alone. This is togetherness. The point of the holiday. To promote societal harmony through the harmonization of music, namely through the custom glass ones made in the region. Finding peace and stability, right? We're looking for balance through harmonization, so it's a coming together. It's a convergence. Namely through the custom glass ones made in the region. All right. We have some traditions. What would be a tradition here? And conversely, if you think of a taboo, is a taboo something that we cannot eat or cannot say? Is it a color or clothing? Is it a practice that we cannot perform, or that as a tradition that we should? Perhaps, let's see, what would reflect the character that we made here? Primary traditions, this would probably be, I'm gonna get some musical inspiration. Hang on. Something that sounds kind of glassy, and let's go to this. We're getting the throat singing and the heavy beat, which is awesome. So for fighting off winter with fire, I feel like it's celebrating the days getting longer and warmer. So this is about glasswork. It is also about creation, right? Well, we have an artificer, specifically an alchemist. So perhaps kind of a tempering, a strengthening. Well, and John, it could be whatever we'd like, because we're just going off of prompts that we've generated through some random rolls on a particular guide that we created and used. So if something seems really strong, or, you know, is a solid idea, you're welcome to put it out there. You know, hot-tempered in this case, this could be a tempering of glass ornaments each family has by casting it into the fire to be renewed and cooled by the new winter cold air. Music is everywhere. And new ways to use glass as a music medium are explored. What would be some taboos, if any? A day to make the next year's potion bottles. And so, yeah, it could be something along those lines, too. This is the time to renew. You know, maybe you get some New Year's spring water and you keep it bottled up and you drink it before the year ends, kind of a thing. Yeah, John, you're very welcome to. Or you're very welcome. And all this goes on our Discord too. You don't have to be a follower or a subscriber. All the worksheets and everything are going to show up as content you can go back and watch on YouTube, or just download the finished product and play around with yourself. Never blow out a flame. Okay, so taboos. Breaking, yeah, it's super bad luck. So, breaking glass, extinguishing fire. So there's even like a little splash then of maybe Hanukkah in here. Where, you know, we want the fire to last. We want the light. In fact, we want to add to it even. Breaking glass, extinguishing fire. Hey, Old Wolf. Good to see you. Breaking glass, extinguishing fire. What would be something else? Is there maybe something that we shouldn't say? Or something that we shouldn't wear or eat? Oh, gambling. This is a day to set games of chance aside. Right? We want to bring balance. Gambling is not allowed on this day. It's considered bad luck if you gamble. Hey, Old Wolf. Yep, hello. Can't wear silk. Why would that be, Katniss? I'm open to the suggestions, but I also want to know, like, what you're picking up with that. Where that would come into play. And we can always go up and add. So with me kind of slowly creeping down the document, don't be afraid to still, if you have an idea, especially as we come up with more information later on, we can go back and revise. Because, hey, come here. Ready? Getting close. It's okay to revise works of written works. It's okay to proofread your initial document. Burning old things in a community fire would be a cool tradition. So it's everyone giving up something. Everyone must immolate something so that everyone shares in the loss. So unlike Christmas where we give away presents, this is actually a holiday where everyone has to give something up. Everyone sacrifices something. We all lose something so that perhaps we can gain more in the future. Everyone must immolate something so that everyone shares the loss. Now, what about some common symbols? Remember, we have someone who is an alchemist. Works with chemicals, potions. We have someone who's a glass blower. We have someone. We're exploring this dual nature where we have these two voices in us, kind of like the angel and devil on our shoulders, telling us what to do or what not to do, depending on the perspective. So we have a sense of duality here. We have a symbol of fire, and of course, water is very present here too, with the merfolk and the Vidalcan that we have as the natives of this land. No, John, you're absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. It could be used to feed the flame. Oh, so everyone contributes. Everyone contributes to like the community forge, which could be a national symbol, and also it could even be an industry that has been socialized by this community because everyone benefits from the glassmaking industry. Silk could be a forging implement of another country's, or it's made from an enemy place. It could be brought in trade. And what's interesting is we also have this duality of fire and water. because of the region that we generated here. They live on and around a hopefully dormant volcano. However, as we explained, some of these vents, some of these chimneys still smoke, and the water, probably at least in the deeper areas, is probably warm, even if the top of the calderas freeze and there's snow in the caps. So we do have these two as the main elements, but honestly, we have a big mix of the 4 elements here. As Earth absolutely plays a key role in all this. As Earth has mixed with fire and Earth has mixed with water, there's plain old Earth and the things growing here. We have fire in the form of the volcanoes and the vents that are all throughout this region. Water's everywhere from the snow and the rivers and the swamps and the caldera lakes. And air, which we actually rolled for the Zendikar air tribe of merfolk. They worship it, and of course, song can travel through water, but song may also be carried through the air. You need it for both the races can breathe water, but they can also breathe air, and so air passes through and it passes on. It sets up the vibrations. The air can be heated and cooled. So what would be a symbol? Maybe something like, oh, how about this? If I open up a new one here. Oh, but you know what? I have it. We're going to open up a new one. I can bring it up as an image if I need to. What about this? Something like that. Or... yeah, until the Fire Nation attacked. They have a glass symbol that's forged yearly. The old one is melted down and reforged. The people give up something to... oh, I like that, Raz. It's kind of like what with the Pope's ring. When the Pope passes away... from what I recall, the symbol of station on the ring is actually destroyed and reforged for whoever becomes Pope next. An hourglass big enough to last an entire year. The sand in the center has been used. Oh, so we have an hourglass, and you know what? That could even be something. So we have a basic hourglass symbol. Pardon me on this, jeez. And this could count down the year. The sand could be interesting too. However, as we have the main spinny-do mechanism going through the middle. These are the official terms, everyone. Don't at me. Some kind of axis, perhaps, or a midpoint. What it turns upon, I don't know. Though this could also be, what if we had, at the top, you know how it sieves through. What if it's capped off with the 2 volcanoes? Because this could, and maybe there's actually, what if there is... what if it's red sand? Because this could be counting the number of turns until the volcano erupts. And of course, this is made of glass. The hourglass can be reforged so a new one is brought out and then turned when it's so it's made during this holiday, but it's not turned until the new year, and that could work because I think the new year is going to be our next holiday. Hey, Old Wolf, thank you so much. And I presume that the remainder 2 from your full pull is going to go to the upgrade. And thank you for that. All right, so we have some awesome ideas here. Common symbols, hourglass, and what I guess let's call it a fire drop slash drops of water, licks of flame. What would a little piece of fire? I guess a spark, maybe not a spark, an ember. If we have a fire a drop of water, right? What do we have of fire that we can sort of converse, almost like a yin-yang symbol? We have a fire drop. Actually, this would probably be better represented more as a yin-yang. Probably a little less tilted, though. Hourglass is too large to turn, so they have to break it open and reforge to fill it. You don't even need an access. The festival celebrates the turning and reforming and the transference of sand. Legend says the volcano will erupt when the sand is spilled. Ooh. Yeah, I guess a tongue of flame. I mean, we do say that fire licks, and there are fire tongues, fire brands, sparks, embers. But you know what? We can go back and fix it. We have a fire drop and a water tongue. All right. Common colors. We may have investigated it. It could be blue and red. It doesn't even have to be colors. It could be primarily... What if everyone wears black in commemoration of all the igneous rock, the basalt, blacks and grays, the pumice, the granite, all this other stuff? It could be that way. It could be blues for all the watery colors. It could be a mix. Katniss is thinking black and gray. Revises it to black, blue, and gray. So do we see people possibly also wearing some kind of like headdresses or hey Wolfblade, headdresses, or it could be the color of shirts or robes or pants. Do we have the equivalent of an ugly Christmas sweater for this society? And remember too that they are aquatic in some way. What if they aren't allowed to wear anything to represent the purity of glass? Oh, so it's actually... oh, you know what, Raven? Pardon me. So if that happens, if we are supposed to be celebrating a day of commonality, then that could be the case where everyone has to walk around, I mean, if not nude or partially, maybe there's a certain dress or whatever, depending on your table and what you're comfortable running, even though it's not sexualized. Some people just don't want to talk about the body or whatever, and I get that. That's fine. But if everyone's supposed to be equal, if people don't have clothing, or if everyone must wear the same style, or we can see that, together, we're all aquatic blue people, whether you're Vidalcan or Merfolk. Our bodies are natural things. And on this day, we are equals as Vidalcan and Merfolk. We come together. And you know what? You can't tell someone's status, how much money they have or influence, if they're not wearing, if they don't have a Louis Vuitton purse, and you know, some Gucci boots or whatever, because we are all the same here. Ah, cinders. So it could be a water cinder. So yeah, fire drop. Water cinder might be good here. A water cinder. We're not supposed to talk about bodies. Close this trunk. Oh no, witchcraft. That's for after hours. So I got a new shift that's morning, so I'll be popping by for gotchas and box pulls. Oh, cool. Well, and hopefully the VODs will help get you through work, because look, you can just listen to a lot of what we do. And so Wolfblade, if we can help you at work, so much the better. So like a Vidalcan nude color, robes made of potato sack. Yeah, so it could be a common clothing or no clothing, or everyone must walk with their heart, if it's even on the left. Maybe their heart's on the right. Maybe their heart's in the back. And so everyone has to wear virgin killer sweaters, like what you see in in anime. So our backs are exposed. There was a race in Star Trek, if I recall correctly, that actually when the female was pregnant, they actually, like, the baby grew from the back, and the point was, like, or at least how it was explained, like, physiologically, was like, you can defend, right? You know, so it's sort of like having the backpack. You can defend and run and do all this if you don't have to have the front consideration. So I mean, for all we know, these Vidalcan and Merfolk could be like gremlins, and their little babbies pop out of their back. Or their heart is, like, located there. So they all have backless shirts, so everyone can see each other's hearts. Random announcement: Supernatural Things on FB is having a final March sale. I don't know what that is, Katniss. However, if you want to put that in your finds also, to share that with others who may be interested, you're welcome to do so. All right, so colors, I guess we're going for, if everyone's blue, then I guess blue would be a major color, because it's blue, or I guess in our human terms, you know how you have, like, flesh tone, and you have nearly nude for foundations and whatnot. You know, here we have some sort of a blue that could be a tone. All right, common decorations. Well, we probably, you know, we do have some symbols. And the symbols can bleed over here, but this could be... So you know how evergreens, right? Common symbols could be evergreens for Christmas or whatnot. And we make decorations. We make wreaths and garland and all sorts of stuff. If we have decorations, it could also reflect our symbols. You know, everyone... Maybe every house has an hourglass, like a family hourglass. And maybe you add like a pinch of sand from everyone in your family that's passed away, and it's their ashes because you get cremated or something. I don't know. You can measure, you know, the length of your family or something that way. Oh yeah, blue is the color of fire too. You know what? If we have a volcanic area, there may and swamp, there's natural gases and such, and so they may have also harnessed the power of natural gas and swamp gas. So you might get a kind of a propane or propane accessory style coloration to fire. Flesh tone is vague because flesh is many. So that's why it's all kind of like fun little hinty stuff. You know, so again, you get like flesh tone, nearly nude, Amish ankle, other like seductive things like that. Lake grass decorations. Okay, so we harvest. We'll harvest swamp stuff. So we'll harvest like swamp. Oh, you know what? Azrael said roses like acidic soil. And we even said giant roses grow in the swamp. And so common decorations could be, so maybe like garland made from swamp roses and lake grasses. Candle holders made out of driftwood. Oh, you know what? We have a culture that celebrates chemistry. All right, so get this. You know how, we spin dreidels, or we'll, we have various other, dances and reels and observances for, pagan traditions or Christian traditions? What if the families get together and make baking soda volcanoes to reenact how the land came to be? And so a common decoration would be volcanoes. So it'd be like the Christmas tree, right? Can you imagine the center of town, everyone gets together for the giant baking soda volcano? And that's how we celebrate, is by watching it like erupt in foam, in like colored foam and lights. Baking soda volcanoes. Candle holders that are made of glass with a liquid inside that prevents the glass from exploding when the fire from the candle gets near the glass. Like Margaritaville? What's the reference there, Death? I'm not sure I follow. And you know what? So if we all hold the flame, custom candle holders. And so maybe you carve your own from wood. Maybe you carve your own from stone or from glass. And maybe that's the tradition where we have ugly Christmas sweaters. People design all kinds of ugly candle holders so that we hold a flame in various ways. They have a volcano that erupts and out comes margaritas. Oh, I did not know that. And that's a rave. Hey, yeah, so everyone dances in the foam, right? We have a bubble party! We already have kind of theremin-sounding instruments from all the glass and all the kind of the eerie, with the wetness kind of going woo, woo, and the vibraphones and everything. So we may have a very ethereal-sounding, dance or rave. There's even a restaurant in town here called Margaritaville. I wonder if they have one of those. All right, common foods. What do these people eat? Remember, this is based on our prompt and our region that we made. So, haha, I can enhance. Enhance. Ta-da. I can bring it up like this. Fish. Well, fish may very well be served on this holiday. Hey, Cake Boss, welcome. Is there a particular way the fish is prepared? Is fish, is fish allowed to be eaten on this day, but maybe it's avoided in a lot of the other society because of the aquatic nature of the races? Is the fish made with a spice? I mean, look, when I say this, as soon as, sometimes even tickling the end of August, as soon as September 1st comes around, pumpkin spice becomes a holiday flavor. The different spices and foods. Of course, when we get close to spring, we have shamrock shakes, and so mint and other things that feel green and refreshing to represent spring come out. Fish over an open flame. Katniss is saying birds of prey. So they capture eagles or herons or osprey that swoop in for fish, and then those are like the Thanksgiving turkeys. I feel like fish would be scarce based on surroundings. Possibly. There could also be a lot of crustaceans. Crayfish and crawdads and all sorts of other things that might live in the swamps, if not fish. A lot of reptiles and burbs. And don't forget insects also. They might have a particular bug. It could be big or it could be small. Frogs? Yeah. So what could... we have our sort of inspiration slurs words. Oh, some jambalaya? Some gumbo? Oh. So maybe there is a rivalry between the Vidalcan and Merfolk. So maybe the Vidalcan have created Chick-fil-A's and the Merfolk have created Popeyes. And the two races are trying to master a chicken recipe that's tearing society apart. Like, it is near causing civil war in this society. Maybe they cook gator. It is a swamp, yeah. Gator's good eatings, I guarantee. We have a character that slurs words. I think something that could represent glass blowing, hot fire, volcano. What if they have like a swamp pepper? Or like an equivalent of Tabasco but hotter? Common foods? So there could be just a seasonal spice. You know, call it, I guess what? Call it, Caldera chilies? So the common diet is accented with Caldera chilies. And if you eat it, you talk like this because you're drooling and your lips feel swollen. Marsh mix. Had lots of gators where I grew up, under cars, in the garages, in pools. Raven says one dish is served with some sweet sticky liquid over some kind of fluffed crispy biscuit. So some sort of a holiday pancake. Hotter than a ghost pepper that makes you breathe fire. Well, dragons, you know, dragons are referenced in our prompt. So Caldera chilies could also be called something like, whatever, like dragon peppers or something, you know, we can bring it in like this. Oh, and you know what? Hey, we have the dragon turtle. What if turtles? Like a nice turtle soup. A seasonal turtle soup, nice and warming. You know, to prepare the turtle soup, you wear these special, they're called shredders. You hold them on your hand and there's some blades. And so you can use those to open up the turtles and to stir things around. And then, you know, the prayer at the table is, tonight we dine on turtle soup. Or if you want to be fancy schmancy, if they're not turtles, maybe they're terrapins. And bonus points for any of you know what a terrapin is. It's not turtle enough for this turtle club. And the shells can be decor. Hey! Turtle shells. Yeah, so they use these seasonal things called shredders, and then they just go into the turtles and make turtle soup. John the Phenom's got it. Of course, in that case, if we're talking Maryland and we're talking about seafood, you know that aside from Caldera chilies, there's a particular thing that has to go on our seafood. And if any of you know what that thing is, shout it out in chat. Volcano lava chemically transformed by alchemy, not to burn but to be pepper hot in a soup. So Cadmus, that would be like making grits with Tabasco sauce. It just like pours out red and it's really spicy. Turtle soup with Rat Senpai Sammy's. There we go. John's got it. They have Old Bay. Old Bay has to exist in our fantasy realm as well. Apparently it is just a multiversal constant. You know, maybe, this is the Old Bay over here. It's what used to be our lake before it was subsumed and replaced by a volcano. And so there's a special spice blend called Old Bay that is put on, their foods here. Or I guess we can call it Old Lake. Old Lake seasoning that goes on everything. Must have been invented in sigil. All right, everyone. There are 3 sayings and greetings that are brought up during this holiday. They could be curses. They could be well-wishing. It could be a quick little prayer. It could be, I don't know, just a fun colloquialism, like just something simple. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. What are some phrases that people would say to each other? Remember, this is a time of togetherness. This is a time of giving up. Oh, never broken. And so Raven, if I were to go to you and say never broken, and you reply in kind, what does that mean? I lava you, says Bewitchcraft. Ashes to ashes? Well, the ashes could even be reused in some way. Hey, RAO, good to see you again. I'm going to be in and out, but it's great to join you again. I just saw a meme about a glass golem containing a bound water elemental. Vampiric or healing. Guess which? Oh, the Kool-Aid Man. Forged in fire. Praise the volcanic blessings. Later gator, because they're eating gators. We're never because that is a theme of continuance, and that is consistent with some other things. So the full phrase would be like, we're never broken, just reforged, but it's condensed down to never broken, and there's the implication. Okay. We have forged in fire. Because this is a more fire-dominant holiday. So we are forged in fire, or simply along the lines of, oh, how's your wife and kids today? Forged in fire. Everything's fine. We're strong. We're healthy. We're not broken. Yeah, hey, I just saw you got a new cart for your mules. How's that holding up? Forged in fire. May your glass remain clear and always full. Love is the fire that binds us together. Writing off of Ravens, if we're broken, we can be brought back with love. So is there a way, if we want to represent love through music and instruments and togetherness, can we weave in love and glass in some way? I mean, there's things like melt my heart and whatnot, but can we get this concept of unity or love in with terms that reflect glass blowing, sort of moltenness, or a concept of liquid and solid? Raz says Fernwar. The glass of flames be eternal. Oh, how about something like love like glass? The implication, right? Glass holds, right? You fill a vessel of glass just as you can fill with love. And love can be filled and fulfilling. I mean, so too also broken and emptied. But we're trying to be positive. We have love like glass. It can be filled, emptied, broken, reformed, reforged. There is hope in the future. Even if you have a broken heart, it can be reformed. Glass is useful. Glass is used in music. You put your, in fact, that could even, I put my glass into this. Glass could be a metaphor for passion or blood or effort. You know, I busted my glass trying to make this work for us. And, you know, I'm happy with the results. Embers to remember. Are you a heart half full or half empty kind of person? All right, so we have some good phrases. Again, you can download this and replace it or add as many as you want, but these are prompts to get us talking, right? We're building a world and a culture, so if you run this at your tabletop, it's already here, and you can present a wonderful scene for your party as they're coming into this land, or even if they're native to it. You make it come alive by describing all the sights and sounds and culture, and you haven't had to really strain or go, so this is kind of like Christmas, so people have trees up, and all right, let's go to the battle. I need initiative. You know, you can describe what is on the streets and in the tunnels. You know, you can describe the family getting together to set off even some fireworks, or I guess we can call them waterworks. Maybe there's little underwater things. What fire forged, only love repairs. And hello, Snowcrow. Thank you for joining us. May your glass and may your glass and heart be full, and may they be forged stronger when broken. But where were they going without ever knowing the way? Well, there's a lot of Steamworks as well. And hello, Lucky I Am. Welcome back. Great to see you. All right, everyone. What are... well, it looks like Raven beat me to it. I would like... What are 2 song titles? Is there a festive song? It could be uplifting. It could be sad. It could be spooky. It could be mournful. It could be like a dirge. It could be, you know, all the Who's in Whoville are getting together with Cindy Lou Who leading the charge, because that's the meaning of Christmas. What are some holiday song titles for this culture and this in this holiday? The Ring of Fire, the Ring of Fire, the Ring of Fire. I went down, down, down to that burning caldera. No problem, Lucky. Thank you for doing so. It's appreciated. Now, I want to know the type of song as well. So I'm open to titles, but, you know, is this a song, a song of remembrance? Is this, you know, is this just a fun little, like, whatever? It's Jingle Bells. You know, it's secular. You know, Jingle Bells is, you know, it's seasonal. It kind of describes an ideal situation for the holiday. It could just be a fun little holiday, jingle in that case. Now that's what I call Volcanic 4. Turtle Shells and Gator Tails, a jaunty tune. Now, the Witchcraft, if we sing Turtle Shells, Gator Tails, Hourglass to flip, da 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 da. Something rhymes with flip. Hey. So this is just like seasonal. It's decorative. It's you know, setting the scene, because we all have, you know, everyone's setting out their turtle shells and whatnot. You know, it's like I'm dreaming of a white Christmas kind of a thing. A holiday love song or song of remembrance, collecting your jar of glass. Raven says toss a coin to your blower. Well, that's the celebration in the one district of town. Thanks to introducing you to this world of world building. Can't wait to check out more. But it's bedtime for you. Hey, John, thanks for finding us. We are primarily a workshop, so this is our bread and butter. This is what we do, and I look forward to you hanging out with us. And John, if you're on Discord, please find us there too. We'd be happy to have you along for the ride there. The Swamp Thang Shuffle. All right, so we have kind of a festive environmental one called Turtle Shells and Gator Tails. Festive, thematic. And then we had... And Ario is saying, I'm thinking of a dark and metal rendition of Let It Snow. And Death Angel says apparently Megadeth made one. So if we are collecting your jar of, so how about collecting your heart glass? Remember, if there's some language where there's commonalities between glass being passion and love, you know, it could be something like this, or even just collecting your glass. Or, you know, you could do jar of glass too, and then this would be a song of remembrance. Jingle shells, this one smells. Someone get it cleaned. Bring my shell to ring this bell. Someone pour my glass. Sands to glass, a song of the glass blower. Oh. So, oh, you know what? So that could be something like togetherness. We're all grains of sand, but if, you know, through fire and work, we're made into one entity. Turtle shells, gator tails, mix them in a stew. Pour a pint for the night and start the year anew. All right, so we can have the Song of Remembrance, or it could be a Song of Reflection. And again, I could make 20. I'm just doing this for the exercise here. Sands to glass. So in that theme, it's like a Song of Remembrance, togetherness, or a Song of Reflection. And of course, glass is very good for reflecting too. All right, what is... Don't worry, Katniss, we're good. What is some common clothing? You know, there's no limit. You know, does everyone wear a particular scarf? I mean, silk was brought up. Well, but you know what? It reflects that original thought, and I like that. I like that as a thought or a placeholder to get us thinking about the different emotions this holiday can bring. Unlike the weird Gal Yankovic. So something. What would we? It was. If our hearts are located in the back, it was something like. Back exposing clothing. Of course, I made the reference to that particular sweater that is very common in certain anime circles. Not that I'd know anything about that. And let's see, if we have... we would probably have things like gator leather and tortoiseshell accessories. And so that could very well be reptilian products and pattern and patterns. I still say they show their humbleness by being nude. No, and that's fine, Raven. So common clothing could be, if you want to add that, it could be nothing. Maybe on this day or during this this period of time.
Many fall in the face of chaos, but not this one. Not today.
Thank you very much, Ooze Undertaking, for the host. Coats made with shimmery scales. Well, remember, too, if they're going to be underwater a lot, how a coat might function. You know, part of this could be, I guess, an equivalent of bathing suits or something along those lines. What alignment is the turtle? They may not use reptilian armor based on their sense of altruism. The villain that we rolled, I think, was lawful evil. Or neutral evil. Lawful evil. Alright. What are some common sense? Remember, if I was talking about wintertime, a lot of us might think pine. Even smoke from fires. Fishbowl hats, is that like the merfolk equivalent of aquarium platform shoes? Oh, like an ash perfume. Okay. So we have ash. Roses were prominent in decoration. So ash, roses. And again, we're describing the scene to our players. We want to immerse them. Remember, the sense of smell is directly connected to our brains. In people who have dementia and other problems remembering or with mental faculties, there are times when, you know, a person with Alzheimer's might smell apple pie and be able to recall when he or she was a kid and went up and stole a piece off the windowsill from grandpa or grandma. So when you're describing a world, not just for holidays, but especially because we have emotional ties to holidays, the scent of things. Oh, every time I think of New Year, I think of going to my parents' house because you know, Mom always made a particular dish. So it doesn't even have to be holiday related per se. Although, you know, during New Year, depending on the household, sauerkraut and pretzels, freshly baked pretzels and sauerkraut would be a smell. Farts because that gator turtle stew creeps up on you. And I'll tell you, Bewitchcraft, in an underwater society, you can't be discreet about that, can you? Cake Boss, we have some music in the back that's sounds glassy. It sounds kind of ephemeral because that's the theme of what we're exploring right now. I thought it was my cave echoes. With mustard. A nice coarsely grained, like a brown mustard. Am I right, Death? Am I right? Every time I smell government cheese, takes me right back to my childhood. Something triggered because of the alchemical mixtures, perhaps a synthesized Raven, we're talking about the volcanoes that family set off in the baking soda volcanoes. Ash, roses, and something like vinegar. And isn't that an interesting mix for a holiday? You know, you just go, oh, vinegar. Oh, that takes me back. And hello, Technotron. By the way, Technotron, I will have a reply for you for what you had asked. I haven't been able to sit down and do it because I've had zero time after the events of the week here. But I have not forgotten about you, brother. Don't worry. Oh, sauerkraut with mustard? Oh, no, I was talking pretzels. I mean, y'all can keep sauerkraut. I'm not a big fan of it. Even if you put brown sugar, I know it sweetens it up, but I don't know, there's just something There's just something about it. But who brought the pickles? I mean, pickles. People put pickles in the Christmas tree. All right, ash, roses, and vinegar are the smells of the holiday. Now, is there any kind of a secondary story? And we can keep this blank, you know, whether we're telling the tale. You know, when I say secondary story, what I would mean is if our holiday name was Christmas, the point of the holiday in its original is to celebrate the birth of Jesus, for those who believe and practice. I keep resorting to this not because I'm trying to evangelize or anything, simply because I think it's a common reference we're all able to get around, especially because it has been secularized and built upon pagan customs. So it really links together a lot of people. But the point of the holiday then would be, like, that's the point. The secondary story would be Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, as a historical figure, as a secular figure, as a folklore figure. It would be, Krampus and others. Yeah, so death and renewal. Yeah. And we could have a few blurbs or a big paragraph. I include this because, hey, if we ever do this and there's a strong secondary story, we can put that in there. Not the myth or legend, but yeah, I get what you mean. All right, everyone, dare I say, actually, hang on real quick. I put a, there we go. I'm just going to keep the document moving, because if I put the break in, it created like 5 lines, and that would be a waste. All right. It is now time. Beginning of the town after the volcanoes erupted and brought both the land and sea folk together. Still flustered over Reuben sandwiches. Oh. There goes TwitchCon Rubens. I mean, if every attendee is given a Reuben sandwich, Raven, I will give you mine. Now let's discuss. We're warmed up. We had a lot of discussion about things. Oh, RAO! Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for that. Oh, it's appreciated, but I'm not the biggest fan of sauerkraut, or even, like, rye bread is okay, but I have other preferences. I have a story of lore for the winter event on my server, if you'd like me to send it. Oh yeah, because you're running a winter event in your game there? You're certainly welcome to, Technotron. Areo has some yummy sandwiches here. Oh, Brack. Oh, I remember Space Ghost. Awesome. Oh, good memory. And of course, there's a fun little furry baby Yoda. All right, our second holiday. We're warmed up. We've started establishing the culture, and we can even take some some ideas from here. We have our setting. We have our prompt. Remember that our second holiday is kind of themed around accepting death, reaching a kind of enlightenment. So this was a story about a girl who fled a tragedy, probably the original village that was destroyed by the volcano. She learned to accept death and could even be the founder of this Way of the Long Death Monastery. So by accepting death, she continues on in legend in undeath, or as a symbol, because we rolled a vampire, and she doesn't have to stalk and suck blood necessarily, but this is our prompt. She's great at a game, and that could be a game of chance or cards or dice. Because we already have games up here too, as a part of this. So there's recreation involved. She is bald. She has a fidgety mannerism, very ponderous as a theme. Thoughtful. Takes time. Doesn't get. We had a hot-tempered theme up here. Now we have a ponderous theme. She shares an ideal of beauty. And there's this bond where she's out for revenge, because she's probably upset at what happened in her past. Though everything that's happened, she might think, well, death may come to those who harm me. And so I don't need to go out of my way, because death comes for everything and everyone. And why am I going to waste my anger and argue and raise my voice on things like this, especially if they can't be undone, or they're not even significant, when instead I can direct myself forward, and I can try and be and become a better person for it. We're more thoughtful. Ooze says the first streamer, in a sense, was Space Ghost. I don't know if I understand that, Ooze. Thank you, Technotron. This is our prompt. This is a time for contemplation. Hi, Wiz. What is the point of our holiday? I think we just talked about it. It is the acceptance of death and endings, and not being afraid of what will perpetuate after. Some kind of a transformation. Oh, a transformation day. Raz, is that for what's up here? That is a possible name for the holiday. We didn't do it in the first one. Honestly, the holiday name I should probably move to be the last thing. I put it first because, I don't know, if this is a generic template, maybe we already have an idea for what we want to call it. Death became us. This could also be something like, this could be called liminality. This could be, maybe transmortification. This is the second holiday. Yeah, we're on to our second holiday now. It's fine, but witchcraft. Death acceptance, yeah. If we want to have elements of glass, especially as our culture, we have a culture of recycling. This is a culture that absolutely seems to recycle all of its resources and can reforge glass and other things like that. And probably isn't afraid to burn trash because the volcano is right there and the smoke's going to go up anyway. And so it actually could have a bit of a tidy nature or something. This could end up being a... Yeah, the Sans to Glass theme. So that was one of togetherness. This seems to be more of an individual, right? This is, she accepted death, she became something more. And so this is a holiday that is to get us to be personally reflective. You know, on who we are. I guess in common, this would be kind of like New Year's, where we think back on our year, we make resolutions for ourselves. I mean, sure, it's great to party with people and to watch fireworks. New Year's Day seems to be, at least in, you know, in Western nations, New Year's Day seems to be about the individual reflection, about trying to be a better person or something along those lines. I don't know if it's so much about regeneration, Katniss. Because it's not necessarily a day of healing. This is just more, it's the promise of death, but not in like a dark, sinister way. You know, this is something will happen after you die. And it could be practical. You're gonna be eaten by an alligator, so you're gonna be food. Your body, you know, we commit your ashes to the swamp to become nutrients for the plants. Maybe your last wish was to be thrown into the fire so that you can help make fantastic things for people. And so I don't think there's really a theme of regeneration or what happens after. This is more just accepting that, you know, life goes on after death, and you will be a part of it, perhaps in a different way, but not necessarily as you were. Can people wear decorated animal skulls they save from hunts? Oh, sure. I think so. I mean, you have this here. This would be common clothing, and so that this could be this could be something along those lines. Decorated animal remains as hats, because you know, to change your identity, we often wear masks, and so this could be a way to hats or masks, as we associate faces with identity. Even though there's a lot more to our bodies than that, but... Of course, I think in the movie Meatballs, someone was able to be identified by something other than the face. Yeah, so becoming something else, it could even be an awareness. You know, you know, we're conscious. You know, we are aware that the animals we eat become us, and then we become something else for something else. Yeah, this is a new holiday, Raz. All right, primary traditions. There are traditions here that we uphold. Yeah, you know, an appreciation is probably a good word for it. You know, not that we're looking forward to dying. We're not trying to race everyone to the finish line. This is simply, you know, an appreciation of the process, an acceptance of the inevitability, but to be calm about it and understand, look, if it's gonna happen, why are we gonna try and race to the end if we can enjoy the journey along the way? So we might have traditions of how can we reflect? How can we reflect the process of death or dying? Remember, this is that way of the long death tradition. This kind of religion that studies the process of decay after death, or even dying while we're still alive to reach there. Oh, we have an alchemist theme. We have chemicals. How about this? Adult participants imbibe some kind of a potion that simulates death through a deep sleep. This could be something almost like a Romeo and Juliet thing, and so this is, you know, adults who do this, there's a special concoction made that puts you into a deep sleep. And perhaps you see visions, or perhaps, you know, you were just out for a time. And this is to This is to simulate the, you know, what happens. This is to make you comfortable with the process and to realize that when you wake up, there is still more to happen afterwards. But witchcraft, oh, you're setting out your stuffed holiday squirrel. Hey, that's a little early, but that's fine. Someone's got to be the first on the block to do it. Oh, sir, are you going to join us on Discord? That'd be awesome. I love meeting you all there, too, especially because I can't broadcast all the time. Reading of the names of the deceased of the year. And fun. Oh, and a fun story about their life. So everyone who died is turned into a lewd limerick. No, just kidding. Reading of names of those who've passed. All right, what is a taboo? What is something that we shouldn't say, do, eat, drink, wear? What is a cultural taboo during this holiday? There once was a townfolk named Chuck. He really enjoyed a nice duck. He lost his head, and now he's dead. Oh, damn the luck. Taboo to say, I enjoyed watching them die? Is that otherwise? So I guess that would imply that culturally people enjoy watching each other die? If you're not allowed to say it during that time? But Witchcraft, here's a good one too. There once was a man from the sticks who used to like writing limericks, but he failed at the sport. He wrote them too short. Alright, Technotron says, I don't know why, but an image of people making shadow puppets all around town, and when the sun comes out, they vanish. Just like the Lost. So they have one day that they can spend the time with them and think of the times they had with the shadows. Oh, so you make like Grandpa Puppet or your lost pet swamp cat puppet or something. Hey, Bronson. If that's the case, but Witchcraft, then got it. Resurrections are not permitted on this holiday. I don't know if this is a theme that really resurrections and that sort of magic, if that sort of magic would be allowed in the campaign setting. You know, given that that this is the embrace of death, I you know, of course, if I was running this campaign world, I wouldn't allow resurrections either. That's right. You die in the game, you dead. And hello, all right, I think we've discussed this. Comishus? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the pronunciation. Please correct me. I don't know if people are buried here for coffins, but Witchcraft. The bodies, from what we're developing in the culture, seem to be immolated, or I guess they're left to be fed upon, possibly even in a cannibalistic circumstance. If not, they're fed to the swamp either by ashes, or they're just fed to the gators or the plants. For mine, it's because some of the people can be really dark and evil, thinking, but the taboo to speak is to respect the ones that have died and not make fun of them. Then I guess specifically Katniss, well, but this is a time of reflection on death. So just talking about death then would be, talking about death during this time would come up. Oh yeah, ashes can be put, can either be made into glass, can be contained in glass. Would there be a particular taboo? Could it be a societal taboo if we're talking about the end? If this is a time of, you know, for this holiday period, or, you know, whether it's a day or a week or something along those lines, what if, what if any kind of, personal procreation, animal husbandry, or like plants is forbidden during, like, it's during this time. It's a time of death, and it's a taboo to engage in acts of life that would counter the solemnity of the process. Well, but witchcraft, it's not a forbiddance. I mean, it's just like during this day or these times, you know, abstain from procreative behavior, because it's considered taboo to do a lively activity, or to whatever, to try and you know, yes. Yeah, so it'd be a period of personal and animal and vegetable celibacy. Pardon. You know, so look, it's the 3 days of this holiday. Don't breed your cattle. It's 3 days here. You know, don't replant your okra in the swamp. Yeah, it's some kind of an abstinence, right? Because an abstinence can also, you know, it could even, I mean, fasting could be a part of it, but if we're talking about the concept of death or becoming something else, and then after the time has passed, then it might be considered bad luck. But witchcraft, today is February 29th. It's a leap year. Some people born in the US on the 29th can finally drink at the age of 84. Let alone become a pirate. Can only eat meats that were killed. Well, okay, but that would be for like foods or something. So a taboo then, a taboo, I guess, would be what? Preserved foods. It has to have been killed in, you know, right on that day or something. Everything has to be fresh, because you are taking the thing that has died, and you are then consuming it so it can become something else. It could be a special harvest or butcher, such as like kosher or halal certification by witchcraft. On this day, open worship of the gods of life is frowned upon. Death is a cycle, natural and necessary on these days to worship the gods. If there is such a god, there might be a god of life. We haven't really explored or developed it. Maybe wreaths are made from dead plants. Yeah, like broken twigs and old stuff like that. Well, would it be, though? I mean, if you killed the flower that day or the day before, and it goes on and we see the beauty in death, anytime you look at a bouquet, those are dead flowers. We don't need an exhaustive list of them, Bronson. I think we have a good idea. I mean, honestly, some holidays are just like, here's one taboo. Can you manage to not do this one thing for one day? Wilted is my aesthetic. Well, then what if this case bewitchcraft, if there are traditions up here, then this could actually be flower arranging, potpourri making. And so during this time, you actually go out and pick flowers. You end the flower's life, but you make wonderful things out of the flower corpses. You either slowly boil them to comment on how good the flower corpses smell, and of course every family prepares their dead flowers a different way, or you make something beautiful out of the flowers. I'm talking flower corpses. What do you think potpourri is? Oh, wreaths made from fresh innards. That would be interesting. That would probably attract the alligators. It's a town of morticias for a day. All right, what is a common symbol? During this time, remember, we have kind of this becoming something else. We have a theme of the end. We have the theme of, remember, this is like enlightenment. This is acceptance. This is death, but not in like a super tragic, sad way. This is, it happens. Though other things are going to happen because of that too. Huh. Oi, look at what Maiden Martha Stewart hath made. It's made of cow tongues and pig ears. I just gotta get a recipe of her sweetmeats. Or of course, if we're going for Pygmalion, we have the Cockney flower girl, who is like, "Oi, my basket of flowers I'll tread in the mud." You go, "Excuse me, are you speaking English or chewing it up and spitting it out?" What would be a symbol of... I mean, there's stuff like skulls, and it could be like a merfolk skull, Vidalcan. Skulls are common, and that's fine. We can adopt common symbols of death or continuation. Symbol idea, springboarding off the flowers. A flower. So maybe even a common, like the swamp roses. A swamp rose, like on Dia de los Muertos. You know how there's like there's roses, and it's like vivid red against the black lace. Why a wooden stake? A wilted flower with one green leaf. So Bronson, this is appealing to Bewitchcraft's aesthetic. So swamp rose, a wilted flower. A smiley face with X's for eyes, and the tongue sticks out the side of the mouth too. She was a vampire with an acceptance of death. In this case, are we sticking with that kind of vampiric lore where a wooden stake could even affect her? Or is it something different? Or is it simply vampire as a placeholder of she can only live off of the life of other people? Therefore, she is an agent of death in the end. A wilted swamp rose curled around a fresh bud of one. So we would have kind of, not that. So it would be kind of a, if we get like a vibrant, and then we got to put all kinds of like, folds. Looks kind of like a Brussels sprout. Wonder what you call Brussels sprouts in your fantasy world if Brussels doesn't exist. And then we have kind of a kind of like a brownie red looking one. And then maybe we have a, like a fresh stem. And then we have like an old withered stem. Maybe something like that. All right. Common colors. Well, you know, blue was featured in our last one, as that's more one of Unity. We might have, and that's even considering, are our swamp roses red? I don't know. They could be green. They could be blue. They could be purple. But common colors could be green, black, and brown. So to show different processes of... Well, how about this then? What if our swamp roses are blue? And so therefore, if they're matching the skin of our Vidalcan and Merfolk, we could actually have then so purple would be kind of like a decayed blue. What if it was black roses, black, 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 number 1. So the swamp roses are black, apparently. So I guess black and purple can work together pretty well. As primary. And then, of course, you know, Christmas colors, red and green, but a lot of people sneak white and gold in there, too. So we might have black and purple. I guess we could just call this the common colors. Bruise? Bruise? How's that? If I say bruise, that might be a particular color that comes to mind. It is easy to make black with soot, and we have plenty of soot hanging around. And also igneous rock. Plenty of volcanic rock around. That Bronson. Oh my goodness, don't get Bewitchcraft's hackles raised, please, Bronson. She only just gave us permission to use references as artists. She'll revoke that. Alright, what are some common decorations? If we're celebrating the end, if we're celebrating things like this, an end could be, you know, oh, how about this? Common decorations could be, carved, igneous, statuettes of some kind. The volcano was the death of this character's village. It was the death of what had been. However, it is also a reminder that it can become something new. And so we have You know, we have granite, little granite statues and figurines. We have pumice. We have all these other rocks that are made out of the very thing that killed the source of this, you know, that killed the old society, the old world, and reformed it. And then the volcano itself died, hopefully. And then we take its corpse and we make something out of it. And so during this holiday, little carved igneous statues are reflective of that. And of course, they're darker colors. Unless you always wanted a nice granite, you know, a nice granite countertop, maybe you have that installed over the holiday too. So I had my hands full, but I'm pretty sure Brussels sprouts are shambling... I like that, Daily. All right, y'all heard it here first. Brussels sprouts are shambling mound nuggets. Animals sculpted with carved symbols, dead flowers, stale bread. Animal skulls and dead flowers. Ash-covered animal skulls with wilted swamp roses. Yeah, I mean, hey, Ash Wednesday was earlier this week, and you know, if you want to wear the ashes of something or someone to remember. All right, common foods. Here's something. What if we don't eat? Common foods, fasting. The dead don't eat. Yeah, can I get a 6-piece mound of nuggets and I guess an ash shake? What if the common foods is nothing? You get water. Or, you know, like, if there's a basic, you know, it would be almost like what, like, an ash shake costs extra. Well, yeah. It's all right, if you're kind to the person in the drive-thru, though, maybe they'll turn around and give you a show. Yeah, is your ash machine down? Typical. You know, it could, well, I mean, I'd say water, but that's ubiquitous to, you know, amphibious people. But there could be something like a staple, or if we think of things like Passover, you know, with some herbs, unleavened bread, and water, maybe a little salt. But honestly, for common foods, this could be it. Fasting, or... I don't know, if we have ways to prep food, you know, you have like matzo balls and gefilte fish. You know, maybe there's something where you eat like a boiled, I don't know, like a boiled rose or like a boiled tulip or something like that. It's winter. Oh, crocus. Croci grow in the winter. Of course, we have evergreens too. Oh, fasting or boiled evergreens. There you go. We're using what we have. In fact, if we want, it could even be the boiled blue spruce needles from this one gigantic tree in the forest that's brought in for the holiday. Because remember, this tree survived the volcanic event. It was covered with ash, and it was, you know, all the heat and chemicals. And this one, like, primordial, ancient, get-ye flask times tree survived. And so we can have boiled spruce needles for our food. You know, because it faced death. In fact, maybe this tree was even named after the vampire. Or the character, or the holiday. Boiled... blue spruce needles. You never let me eat people, Bronson. All right. What are 3 things that we say during this time of reflection, finality or the coming to terms with the fact that there is a beyond of some kind. Something we say in passing. It could be a curse, something you might say in anger. It could be a hopeful prayer. It could be just a simple howdy. And you know what? If there's maybe even a particular gesture, then you know, that might be a saying or a greeting as well. Death takes no holidays. And all right, so if I came up to you during this time, Bewitchcraft, and I told you death takes no holidays, what does that mean? Through the language, through the culture, death takes no holidays indicates what? May the ashes become your future? Celebrate life, revere death. Means he needs a vacation time and we're selfish. In the shadows, find solace. Death is coming. Death is not goodbye. In that case, would it be a parting greeting? Sort of like a goodbye, where we embrace it and we simply say, you know, death to you, but it's not meant in anger or from bitter rivalry. If you tell someone death to you, that's actually like goodbye, and I'll actually see you again. So it has a positive spin. Because remember, these people are going to be using it in a daily context. You know, just like we say Happy New Year. Happy Valentine's Day, or, you know, Merry Christmas and the like. The wheel turns again. That, I think, is going to be a lot better for our upcoming holiday. Because it leaves open the chance for something else, but it's not necessarily starting it. Oh, you're still here. A good death to you. Remember, there's a lot of aquatic things going on. We have 2 amphibious races as well. So there is fire, there's ashes, which are a part of the culture, but there's also a lot of water regarding the swamp, and other such things. How about, because there was the celebrate and revere. You know, there was, I think, Katniss, you were invoking the ashes to ashes, dust to dust earlier. This would be a, what are some other expressions that we... So, like, you know, oh, how's the wife and kids? Blah, blah, blah. How you feeling today? You know, blah, blah, blah. So if you reply during the season, what about, of the swamp? How you feeling today? Oh, I'm of the swamp. I hear the swamp's going around. Yeah, it is. It's affecting everyone. So swamp could be that finality, but also that primordial stew from which other things can survive. The swamp might be a metaphor for being sick or being sad, or for being in some kind of duress. May the ashes be your future. What about something that is a moving on? Not necessarily hopeful into the future, but simply we put an end to the past. Return from the swamp? Sleep. I slept like the dead. Hey, you know what? But witchcraft, we had those potions, right? That can simulate that. Yeah, I'm deep in the bogs. Deep in the bogs. I'm of the swamp. Sorry, are you suggesting that for the holiday name? All right, I need song titles. What are something that we chant, we sing, we hum, is an instrumental? What is something seasonal for this holiday? And what type of song is it? Two song titles. Let's go with... when we're creating the map, we started out with the landscape. We said that things had sunk, and of course the calderas are sunk as well. Sunken, risen, mortal prison. And this would be a, like a hymn. Although it'd be more historical, I guess. So it'd be sort of, I guess more like a folklore, kind of like a Yankee Doodle for like the founding of the United States or some other, folklore history. Sunken, risen, mortal prison. Squirrels and curls, swampy, 8 Grammy. Turtle stew is good for you. Go dunk in ashes too. And it may bleed in, but I mean, these could be. I mean, not that decorative stuffed squirrels can't be set out. I mean, look, people put their Christmas lights out after Halloween. Yikes. In my opinion. I don't judge you. I'm playing. Seasons in the swamps. Well, so seasons do have... maybe, what if instead of seasons, right? What we're talking about, this is based on enlightenment upon reaching, the end of one's old self and possibly becoming something else, but you don't know what it is. You've just reached this next stage. What if it's something like either solstice in the swamps, or it is... winter in the wetlands? Ashes to the future. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the swamp. Let's see. There's probably an old folk song about the society that lived there before the volcano. Because that's the great signifier of the death of whatever that great city or age was. Although that could be sunken, risen, mortal prison, because that's the folklore and history. I don't know if people are buried, though, Raz. Coffins and burials and maybe even tombstones. That doesn't really... there could be cultural adaptations. But with that, Daily does judge. Yikes is correct for people who put out their Christmas lights right after Halloween. I give it until Thanksgiving. If you got your Christmas lights up, maybe the week of, if not after Thanksgiving. Keep them up until after New Year, maybe even a week after, especially depending on the weather. Swamps have mud. If you, there's a lot of ashes, but I do want to incorporate some of this aquaticness, but you can mix a lot of ash into a sort of mud. And so that could end up being, Katniss also judges too. Sunken, risen, more. So we have made in the mud. This could be a love song. You can make things out of mud just like you can out of glass. However, the glass is the fires are the things that consume the people. Maybe some of the ash could be used in the glass too, but you can actually build out of mud as well, made in the mud. Maiden of Ash. Oh, so that could be kind of a whimsical Maiden of Mud and Ash. And so here we have like a love song. All right, we have some common clothing, decorated animal remains as hats and masks. What are some common scents? That could be whatever the concoction is. Maybe, I don't know if they make cranberries in this swamp. There's a lot of other things too. It could be whatever the secret herbs and spices are to create those potions. If we're also eating boiled spruce, then spruce would be... they might harvest peat moss as well in this place. We have a lot of evergreens. That's our forest. We have this kind of acidic swamp. Decay. So I guess that would be like what? Like wet vegetation smell? Yeah, like mud and swamp rose. So for smearing mud or ash, or even ash that's mixed with water to make kind of a mud. So this could be, because, swamp mud may not stink until you bring it up above the water and it starts drying out. And so maybe the mud here has a particular scent. Swamp mud. And whatever potion concoction. Secondary story, not going to worry about that. There's a lot that we can learn. There's a lot of things about enlightenment, but I think we have ourselves a solid second holiday. And so what we're going to do, let's get up and take a little bit of a stretch break, everyone. And when we come back, now let's discuss different holidays to be celebrated that are using the lessons or morals or placeholders of the villains we created. And have some fun with that. Old Wolf, are you here? Also, Old Wolf, are you here? I have some boxes for you. Well, if you have to get going, Katniss, you can catch it in the VOD later, too. And it'll also be on YouTube.